Are you sure? He's got a big dick. So do I. Is it because you're black? Oh yeah! I ain't gonna necessarily hold you. The whole PlayStation showcase was a bit mid. I ain't gonna necessarily hold you. Now, I ain't gonna lie, with my reaction, there was, obviously moments in there where I was hella hyped as shit. Obviously, Spider-Man did a lot of things for me, honestly, and just Peter going crazy and going rogue was absolutely hilarious. I'll make him wish he never came to New York. I'm like, God dang, Peter, calm down. It's okay, bro. It's very much okay. Miles out here looking at him like, damn, why you chuck that man to the ground like that? He ain't deserve that. But when it comes down to things, like, there's some games in there that was really good. Some of the games were already stuff that we already know is out in the ether and just waiting to be released. Other games we never really heard of and they just don't necessarily take my boxes, and some, like maybe one or two or three, only has a little bit of interest when it comes to me. Personally, that's kind of how I feel when it comes to, this showcase. And a lot of it honestly was like CG trailers as well, if you noticed, and a lot of it is just not having release dates outside of maybe 3 games that has like a hard release date, which honestly sucks. It's just not great. And again, a lot of those games are just, a few of those games are just really like the games that you already know is coming out, like Street Fighter 6 June 2nd, or like Final Fantasy 16 June the 22nd, I think. So, it's like games you already expecting, you already know. And that's kind of like the biggest thing I say I have against this showcase. It's like, when you see a lot of this stuff, it was like a lot of a miss. I'm not necessarily gonna hold you. Like, yeah, there's some games I never heard of that's cool, and some of them that look kinda interesting, but majority of them, not necessarily gonna lie, I don't really care too much, And that just kinda is what it is. Like, the big takeaway that everybody's gonna have watching this is either gonna be Phantom Blade, or it's either going to be Spider-Man 2, and mainly it's gonna be Spider-Man 2, right? Honestly, so yeah, that's basically kind of is what it is on that front. I wish more of the gaming industry, honestly, did more with gameplay and showed that shit. And don't get me wrong, if you showed me a game with a whole bunch of gameplay, like, if it's not interesting, I'm not necessarily going to care for it, no matter how much gameplay you show me. And if you just show me a CG trailer, then I'm still not going to care for it, because what is the gameplay like? Which is the problem with Mortal Kombat at the moment, which we get to know that answer by June 8th of Summer Game Fest. But when it comes down to things, I just don't necessarily like that a lot of the trailers were just CG, and very few of it was like gameplay stuff. And I ain't even including the VR thing, because I don't really care for the VR thing when it comes to PlayStation, honestly. So that's like a very frustrating thing when it comes down to things. So, I like to see a perfect balance of gameplay and CG trailer if you're gonna have that. Like, you could have like a best kick-ass game with different mechanics, kick-ass stuff, all basically all that you want. However, if you don't necessarily show me, a bit of that story and actually it be interesting to my taste, then I'm not necessarily gonna care for it, honestly. That just kind of is what it is for me. And I was actually honestly thinking that we're gonna see some anime shit. But apparently not. We didn't get to see not one drop of anime. So I assume either Summer Game Fest or Xbox is going to have something of the sort, right? Obviously, I kind of figured that Final Fantasy 16 was going to show. I didn't think that we were going to... I thought we was going to get a demo, but we didn't, which absolutely sucked. And so I guess like maybe by Summer Game Fest or Xbox or some point in time we'll get a demo just come through at some point. But when it comes down to things, I obviously kind of said that Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth I thought was going to show. I was leaning more towards 7 Rebirth than I was Kingdom Hearts 4 personally, but still then I had just a little bit of hope of FF7, but we didn't even get that, which as Super Butterbuns kind of made sense on. Honestly, that does make sense, because you already have one big Final Fantasy game that's about to come through. There's no real reason for you to just sit back and announce that, you're finna have a whole nother Final Fantasy come through. That's just pretty much bad for marketing, because essentially you want people to focus on that Final Fantasy game instead of the other Final Fantasy game, which makes a whole lot of sense. Once 16 is done, then you can start coming out your hands with like a ton of Rebirth information and stuff, which makes sense. But you also gotta realize, Rebirth is supposed to come out this winter. Supposed to come out this winter, unless they decide to just delay it, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. But when it comes down to things, you know, that means you gotta kind of quickly ramp up some advertising material when it comes to FF7 Rebirth, like immediately right after, you know, 16 kind of goes out, you know. And even then, once 16 is out, you still gotta do like a bit of marketing and advertising the game to make, you know, to make people buy the game. And that's kind of like another thing too. Now, I will say, I still have a little bit more hope for Kingdom Hearts to pop up. And I'm not necessarily gonna lie, and this is the reason why I say it, because Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts are not the same. Yes, they have Final Fantasy characters in the game, but they are not the same in name. So if Square were to show anything at Summer Game Fest, or anything soon, I would say Kingdom Hearts will be the first thing to show up, mainly because it's not Final Fantasy, and it's not within the cycle of 16. Now, if they don't necessarily do it, then most likely D23 is going to be the place to show Kingdom Hearts 4 again. And then, you know, the cycle of Final Fantasy 7, that's going to be like a thing at that point. But I do think we're going to end up seeing something of it fairly soon, because if you remember, Kingdom Hearts came out in 2019, Final Fantasy 7 came out in 2020. Then literally by last year, we had the obvious 20-year anniversary of Kingdom Hearts. Then they showed the game of KH4. Then like literally in June or July or whatever, they showed like this anniversary of Final Fantasy 7. And then they had a trailer for Rebirth. And that was put on last. So I imagine Kingdom Hearts is a little bit more going to be shown sooner than FF7 Rebirth, in my personal opinion. Now, I could be obviously wrong. I could obviously be wrong, because we don't necessarily have a hard idea of where Kingdom Hearts is going to be coming out with, honestly. Like, when it's going to come out and stuff. So, we don't necessarily know. But, when it comes to 7, it should follow right after that. So, that's my thinking, honestly. I feel like because of how they showed stuff off in order, I feel like they'll continue that order, and that's how they'll show stuff off. But we'll really have to see, honestly. As well as every other game that I kind of thought about and wanted to see, like Stellar Blade, Lost Soul Aside, and, you know, some other stuff as well. We didn't get any of that, which I thought was weird, because I was just like, I wouldn't be surprised if they show off, like, games from the Chinese program that they have and stuff, and wanting to show off games from that part of the world. I'm surprised they didn't show that here, because this would have been the showcase for it, especially for those two games in particular, right? And I also heard that there have been talk about Persona 6 or Persona 3 Remake, honestly, just out in the ether, which, if they're going to show anything about it, it's going to probably be either Xbox's thing, because apparently they have some type of partnership from what I've heard, and then they also said that, or I'm thinking it could be Summer Game Fest, but I don't think it's going to be Summer Game Fest, because I didn't see Atlas posted up right there on the page. Granted, Sega is, you know, with Atlas in some shape or form, so it could happen, but whether or not it's gonna be either P3 or P6, who necessarily knows, honestly. I'm kind of more excited for P6, honestly, instead of just a remake of P3, which, don't get me wrong, I would like to play that as well, but it's just like, you know, I kind of want to see more of what Persona 6 could potentially be. But outside of that, again, the showcase itself was, it was just mid. I'm not just gonna lie, it wasn't even okay, it was just kind of mid. Honestly, a lot of games I probably will not buy day one, honestly, even when it comes to Spider-Man, because I'm not gonna hold you, $70 is a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, that's the money I just can't afford to spend. And definitely when it comes down to things, I would definitely just wait till it goes on sale for a lot of the games. The only game I would probably buy at $70 is Kingdom Hearts 4, because that's the only game I actually really care about. But anyway, that's essentially all I really want to say for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on anywhere else. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, please go ahead and be a Patreon member. We got some heat over there. And until then, it's your boy Jay, signing off. Have a blessed day.